Hey, Franklin, these are some of my comics. I'll show you more later. Hey, how's it going? We had a really marvelous vacation. I told you guys last time that we were in Palm Springs for a little R&R before we get to the grind for this new year. Or I had booked this really cool mid-century home for us to stay in for a really short time. It was amazing. And then I was like, oh, you know what? Airbnb has this new thing called Experience. Cool, one of the experiences I already filmed, which is called the bee experience, backyard beekeeping, where you can harvest honey, and that's one of the experiences. At the same time I was booking that experience, I saw, hey, there's a natural hot springs experience, which we've never done before, and I've always heard about it because I used to work in the Palm Springs area. And I would always drive by, like, what, here in Desert Hot Springs? And I was like, there's nothing out here except meth deals and trailer parks. So get this, we're coming up on our appointment to go to the Natural Hot Springs. We're driving in there, yep, all we see is trailer parks. All we see is a lot of desert scape. We're like, okay, cool, there's 2 pictures on the experience online. And then I call up the owner of the experience and he's like, hey, and I'm like, hi, this is Meg. I booked an experience here online through Airbnb. He's like, oh yeah, come around over here. See a small gate? It's black. I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's me. I was like, okay, bye. First of all, we got a little lost. So he opens the gate, see this little hoop house and nothing else. Get out of the car, shake hands. Hey, I'm Meg. Hey, I'm Kevin. And he's like, so are you gonna change? We're like, well, it's underneath our clothes. He's like, all right, follow me. And we're like, and it was like a little slow motion, a second of a little bit of like uneasiness, especially from me, because I was like, I don't know really what to expect, like short description about what we were gonna do. One of the things on the description was, oh, you're gonna learn about nature and you're gonna learn about the plants and the wildlife. And I was like, okay. So he just takes us and we start walking. I'm like, okay, start walking down. Walking down to the path. It's beautiful, by the way. It's getting quieter and quieter. You hear less and less traffic. He actually owns all this land, the owner of this experience. We're like trying to generate conversation, but you know how you try to generate conversation when you first meet somebody and it's kind of like stop and go traffic? It's just like, start it, it stops. It started, it stops. And we're not naturally outgoing, so we just try our best to, get something going, get a little bit of, for all we know, he's taking us out to the desert. And I was like, motherfucker, is this guy gonna like murder us in a minute? We're going in a ways where probably nobody can hear you scream. Finally, we come up on this tiny little kiddie-sized pool that is just, you could tell it's a hodgepodge of rocks. It's not entirely impressive when I see, okay, I'll be honest. I was like, oh, is this it? It has some water in there. I don't see any steam coming out of it, so I'm like, isn't it supposed to be like hot? Like, is it gonna be relaxed? Are you gonna cook us? I was like, oh, is this natural? Right? I was saying something like that. He's like, what else would it be? And I was like, oh, I got a little attitude. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I mean, we've never done this before. And then he's like, oh. And then for something in him clicked. He became this whole other person and he became very soft. And he became very gentle, and then he started to explain things, and then things started to become more friendly and more upbeat. And I was like, oh, thank God! I thought you were gonna kill us or something. He just seemed a little distant and abrasive at the beginning, and it could be just me because I'm a sensitive person. But I just kept optimistic because I was like, I'm hoping for the best because everything is legit through Airbnb. They check you out. I know you have to jump through a lot of hoops to be a part of this program called Airbnb Experiences. So I was like, I'm not gonna freak out. I was just like, okay, just be friendly, just be inquisitive. And I was like, oh, he's just like a nature hippie dude. Like, he loves nature and he loves to, I think he just wants us to respect his land and what the earth represents, just very grounded in nature and very, like a very conservative, like nature preserving sort of tree hugger person, right? And I'm like, cool, I'm down with that. Anyway, so that's what happened. And I was like, that was interesting. I really enjoyed myself at the end. We actually got out earlier than the time that was allotted to us, which is 2 hours. But we got amazing shots with the sunset. We had some time to like chill with each other. Like after we hung out for 15 minutes, he's like, okay, I'm gonna leave you alone. I was like, oh, okay, good. We were able to just be there with each other with the mountains and the serenity, and it was quiet. It was relaxing. It was so fun to take photos of each other and take some video of each other. I was totally blown away by the whole thing because I didn't know what to expect. And then I thought it was a really good experience overall. The point is, right? The point is that, again, I always kind of think about these experiences and relate them back to like our real life and lessons that I can learn you over there on the other side of the camera. I was like, dude, the first impression is so important, you know. And I was thinking about the meetings that I do when I meet clients, because I don't, and so what I have seen that has been really helpful to clients, because clients are getting more savvy as to, you know, who they're gonna pick to be their photographer, and they're, I guess, depending on your price point and depending on a lot of things actually. Certain clients, if you read them correctly, they like to have a walkthrough of things. They like to see your process. They like to understand what the words mean, like, oh, every image are color corrected. Well, what does that mean? Okay, show them. Well, what does it mean to order an album from you guys? What does it mean that you're gonna have a lead photographer and a second shooter? Like, what are they doing? Being able to walk somebody through all of these major points, especially a client, and walking them through your process and really holding their hand and taking the time. And even though they didn't really ask, it's a great way to show how thorough you are and what your service includes and why they're paying that much. Because either way, like $1,800, for example, that's like that's the industry standard for something that is low, right? That is the lower bracket. But in that low bracket, it's still $1,000, right? It's still $1,000. You don't, like, nobody really just drops $1,000 easily. You know, you always want to know, what are you paying that for? Unless it's like play money. That walkthrough process and that transparency process, or that transparency feel that you have about you as a business, I think is really important. And more clients are knowing about that, because more and more entrepreneurs are making content and telling the world about how they do things. And so as the world starts to change, and that issue of like, know, and trust is now including so many more things that we ever did include before in a service-based business, is good, because everybody kind of does their own little thing anyway. And so the more that you can kind of use that to your advantage that you already do, I think is going to be great, because it spurs on competition, but it spurs on competition in a good way, where you only attract people that really gel with you. You know, when you can check more boxes in ways that say to yourself or to the client, like, we're for each other, that we're good for each other, that we'll work well together, the better for it. So first impressions and having a transparency in your process as a business, walking somebody through your process, especially if it's the first time. And maybe, you know, I had to say it was my first time. He didn't actually inquire as to if it was our first time, so that he could gauge us, that he could read us as a client, right? And so it's not a big deal breaker for him. It's like, whatever. Like, to me, it was awesome. I have nothing but good things to say about the experience. At the same time, it gives me ideas, right? It gives me ideas as a business person. Yep, that's what happened. We had a marvelous time. I'm starting to put more of I'm just trying to share more of the videos that I make for KLV on this channel as well, just because, like, I hate having to go to different channels. But yeah, hope you enjoy those too, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye! If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe. More stuff like this, talk about marriage, business, life, more videos right here, probably 2 of them. Okay, bye.